I think people who have been long-term fans of the show will have seen my next name coming. Kliff Kingsbury.
Ah, I forgot
Yeah.
about Kliff.
I mean,
Right.
how can you forget about Kliff?
I forgot about Kliff. It's because we've been nailing him for 3 weeks
And,
straight.
Right.
I
Come
didn't
on.
choose, I didn't
Like,
choose him because I thought it'd be so obvious me choosing him, and all the
like,
Arizona fans hate me for you know.
seriously, outside of the fact that they're going to be missing DeAndre Hopkins at the start of the season, and they make a dreadful trade for Marquise Brown, who is barely a number 2 receiver, has bad hands, and has been, okay, maybe he goes into a system where he knows the quarterback, and that's going to keep them happy. But there's no way that what they paid for him was reasonable by any stretch of the imagination. They're going to be starting the year at wide receiver with who knows what AJ Green is at this point, although better last year than I expected him to be. Marquise Brown and Rondale Moore. It's very gadgety potentially. And then there's this whole thing about how in the second half of the year, as we all know, Kliff Kingsbury drops off and falls off a cliff. So when you've got to start hot, you've got no DeAndre Hopkins, who was basically the entire crux of your offense last year. This and okay, we mocked the schedule release and everything else. Can I just give you their second half of the season schedule for the Arizona Cardinals? From week 10 onwards, they're at the Rams, the 49ers in Mexico, the Chargers, the Patriots, at the Broncos, Buccaneers. Admittedly, they have the Falcons 1 week from on the penultimate week of the season, but then they finish the season at the 49ers. They could easily go 1-8 down that stretch.
Yeah. Hey, don't rule out the fighting Desmond Ridders.
Don't rule out 0-9, mate. I mean,
so honestly, they cannot ignore it. If they somehow limp to another wildcard spot, even, they cannot ignore that fact.
The problem they have is they've just given him a 4-year deal. Now. Maybe they'll want to get out of it, but Bidwell is not. I mean, but Bidwell is due. No, he has been very much about the medium term. He always gives guys time. He buys into wholeheartedly whatever is presented to him in the interview. He's like, yes, and we'll follow that through to its natural conclusion. And Kingsbury's in the fortunate position of his quarterback's too good to get him fired. So he'll probably, look his way into 9 games baseline, and then maybe he can help them win 1. Probably not. The biggest concern he has is how bad that defense looks. And I love Vance Joseph, and what they did last year was some of the coolest, wildest shit you will ever see a defense do. Amazing. And then he got stuff out of that defense. They had absolutely no right getting out of it once JJ Watt went down. And I know it fell off a cliff, but if you go and watch the tape, man, it's that they are outrageous of what they do. They could have been the worst defense in the league based on some of the personnel they're rolling out there in certain weeks. To then rip Chandler Jones out of that, no chance. And to think JJ Watt will be healthy the full season, no chance. Think Marcus Golden can do that again, who's a player I love, but is always injured, no chance. They are in, and then they put all the chips into trying to address an offense that was like, that was not the issue, guys. The issue was not having quick, small players. You have plenty of those. You can go find those guys all over the place. The issue is the entire design and the reliance, like you said, Will, on our entire game plan is second and medium, third and long, throw the ball up to D-Hop and hope for the best.
I think we're all in agreement on that one. I don't think there's any need to...
I hate Kliff Kingsbury. I think he's a terrible coach. And as Ollie and I discussed last week or the week before, and you just made the point there, Will, is that when it gets to mid-season, they always start really strong, and then teams just go back and look at how vanilla they are on offense. And down the stretch last season was an absolute embarrassment. It was an embarrassment. It was a high school offense, couldn't move the ball. I mean, some of those games, the playoff game was an absolute. I mean, if I was Steve Keim, I'd have taken a vein at halftime. It was so bad. It was just, you look at that defensive line, and you just think, how are they ever going to get the way they have to create to get to the quarterback is, I mean, they're going to have to use Isaiah Simmons, Jesse Luketa, Maya J. Sanders, and Zaven Collins to pretty much on every down to try and get to the quarterback, because nobody else is getting there. Certainly not on that defensive line, because like Ollie says, a big fan of Marcus Golden, JJ Watt. How many games can you rely on him on? And you've just taken, probably a very under the radar Hall of Famer type player in Chandler Jones out of that system. So, yeah, I just think he's so overrated. I think he's and also the other question is, look, what's Kyler's mental state of mind coming into this season? Where is he in terms of the whole situation with his contract and those sorts of things? The
health is the big thing for him too. He's been banged up. Those second half of the year splits have as much to do when you watch him. He's not as quick in the second half of the year. He's tentative taking off, and they explode out the gates because they're playing one-on-one football across the board, and they have the quickest quarterback in the league. So if he's playing one-on-one against you, Lamar's slipperier. Kyler's quicker in a straight line, so he outruns everyone. It's proven now you cannot do that for a 21-game season to win a Super Bowl. So you have to do what the Bills did with Josh Allen, which is we are running the worst offense in the league for 8 weeks because we don't care, because we'll win games because that guy's special. And then as the season goes on, we'll do all the creative stuff and we'll save it for AFC title games, for AFC divisional rounds. They go the complete other way and they throw everything out the gate right up top, like Si said, and then everyone's seen it once, and Kyle's getting hit too much, and he slows down in the second half of the year.
But look at the players they've got, and if Kingsbury had any sense, you would alter this offense to make it much more tight end heavy, extra tight end personnel, because the strength of your team is Zach Ertz, Trey McBride, Max Williams in terms of what you can do. Because without D-Hop for the first 6 games, I mean, you're looking literally at Hollywood Brown, 94-year-old AJ Green, and Rondale Moore, who hasn't stayed healthy since his junior season in high school. The running back situation, obviously James Conner scored 20 touchdowns last season. That's great. But, Chase Edmonds is gone. You're relying on Eno Benjamin, who's not done a great deal. I don't see how they're going to move the ball consistently beyond Kyler just having to run around like a mad thing. And then, taking extra hits behind an offensive line that's not very good. And then a defense that can't get to the quarterback and therefore can't stop anybody.
Okay, so
and I'm here for his downfall.
It will be a day of celebration when it happens, even if it's within division. And I quite like the fact that he's quite bad.